giving you a voice,
making it loud our own way.
Welcome to the fun.
All right. So our main story tonight, I know you've all been waiting this discussion. It's been much talked about on Chief Delphi, is the awards update posted on the FRC blog. This is by Cindy Strong and Alan Bancroft. They're the co-chief judge advisors for FRC. And, our long discussion on the Chairman's Award, we're going to be talking about the Chairman's Award, but these award changes are not just the Chairman's Award. So we're going to be talking kind of how this affects all of the awards, including Gracious Professionalism Award, the new Autonomous Award that has now been brought to all events, the Entrepreneurship Award. Alan, we want to get your opinion first. You have sort of spearheaded this new chairman's movement in FRC. You're very public on Chief Delphi and how you feel about the Chairman's Award. What do you have to say about these changes? You've already kind of said a couple of things on Chief Delphi, but yeah, let's hear.
Okay, so I think the biggest thing that I think a lot of people have gotten confused is I'm not upset about the award, right? The award itself doesn't matter. The award itself has never mattered. The trophy, getting the champ spot, whatever, all of that is useful, and all of that is useful to get people to accomplish the original goal. And that goal is first mission and vision, right? Those are the things that are the reason I'm still in the program. It's the reason why tons of us put in thousands and thousands of hours to help students learn about robots and to get passionate about STEM, is because we believe in that mission. And what these changes do is it reflects how FIRST headquarters sees themselves and how they value that mission. And right now, I don't think they do, right? It cheapens what FIRST is doing when they say, no, we're only worried about the mission if you're bringing in money to our other programs and if you're supporting FTC, FLL, Junior FLL, and those things, and not what cool things can you do to get students inspired about STEM. And that's what it should be, and that's what the main focus has to be. And if we're going to get what we celebrate, like what he always says, we should be celebrating people and teams who are inspiring students, no matter what vehicle they choose to use. It doesn't matter.
So I before we go too deep on this, Alan, and that was impassioned and great, I just want to go over the changes just so all our viewers are aware. I'm just going to read this verbatim. So the original statement in the 2018 and prior awards criteria was: the Chairman's Award is presented to the team judged to have created the best partnership effort among team participants and which best exemplified the true meaning of FIRST through measurable impact on participants, community, participants at large. The updated version for 2019 states: the Chairman's Award is presented to the team judged to best exemplify the true meaning of FIRST through measurable impact on participants, school, and the community at large, with emphasis on promoting science and technology through FIRST programs. So that's where the difference lies, in that they're basically saying now that and first of all, okay, let me just back up here for a bit. When trying to interpret text without any sort of intent statement, there's a lot of different directions we're going. And I think a lot of us are implying various things. The people who authored this blog, Cindy and Alan, they've been long-term FRC judge advisors, and they're like good people. Like, they are really good at what they do. And I've worked with them in the past on some stuff, and they sort of get it. So I don't want to put too many words in their mouths, but at the same time, this was kind of buried in that blog post. It wasn't really highlighted or anyway, so there's nothing else to go by other than these words. And so then we have to parse the differences. And when parsing the differences, the one noticeable statement is that, it's clearly making it seem that they only want to hear about FIRST programs. And I just don't know what that means, because it could mean a lot of things. And I'm sure Garrison is going to have one take on what he thinks it means. But say I am running a program in libraries after school. I've created this library program, and we're using Arduinos to teach kids about programming and stuff. That's really cool stuff. And it's a FIRST team that's going and exposing the community to stuff. But we're not using FLL kits, and we're not using Tetrix kits. So do they want to hear about that? Is that good? Is that bad? What's going on? And teams don't really know, but this is having some sort of impact. And so Garrison, what do you think they're getting at?
So what I'm worried they're getting at is that they don't want any of that to go on, and they just want teams to focus all their effort on, on FLL, on FTC, on Junior FLL. And I don't want that to happen. the thing I'm honestly a little less concerned about, still very concerned, is that they're trying to target other robotics competitions such as Vex. And that's sort of what people jump to immediately on Chief Delphi is the teams, FRC teams that participate in other programs like Vex, other programs too. 842 when they won Chairman's card, like we were talking about earlier, they won it with doing a lot of different robotics programs, including that underwater robotics tournament. Sorry guys, my dog's barking. But if they do decide that if their mission with this is to target Vex or other robotics competitions, I don't get it. This seems like a pretty confusing way to do it. They should, work on making their competition better and more accessible and things like that. Just encouraging the teams that are in it to just make more of it seems silly. I think they sort of missed the boat with this.
But did they miss the boat? But did they miss the boat, Garrison? Because
I think they did for a couple of reasons. One, this is not a change. I'm not surprised by this. I think anybody that is surprised by this probably hasn't been doing chairmans for that long. This is how the award's been judged, and that does not make this okay. There have been some comments saying this is the way it's been for the last several years. Now they're just putting it in writing.
So I don't think that's the way it's been in every region in every event. Because I can tell you, and we've won the Chairman's Award. We've been lucky enough to win it 3 times. And in none of our essays have we said we have started a team. We've said we've helped, we've assisted, whatever. We have never started a team. We don't claim to. I believe that the people who start the teams are the people who are on those teams. I'm not on another team besides for Spectrum, so I haven't started a team.
Yeah, but Alan, this change doesn't talk specifically about starting teams. It talks about promoting science technology through programs.
And I will tell you, we have very limited. We've run an FLL program or an FLL event, but we don't really mentor FLL teams directly. It's just not what we're good at. We try to help FRC teams as much as we can, and we have been lucky enough to win it. So I don't think, and there have been other teams that we've gone up against where I've read their essays, and they do a lot more with FTC and FLL than we do, and with other first programs. So I think I don't think that that's how the judges were doing it for years since. And I think that may change now that we have judges that with this emphasis.
Yeah. And so I guess it's one of the things that I'm particularly nervous about is, I hope that teams don't change the outreach and the good work that they're already doing. I don't want that to happen because teams are very creative and do awesome stuff. And I don't want any of that to change.
Garrison, I'll tell you. Because I'm in touch with a lot of the top chairman's teams. 1114 does a lot of mentoring with these teams, a lot of assisting and that sort of thing. And changes are happening. There are already teams who have said that they're making plans for the 2019-2020 season to migrate their program from VRC and Vex IQ to FTC and FLL because they figure that's their only shot at getting into the Hall of Fame. So
I've heard similar stories.
And if you're looking at this from first perspective, if their goal is to grow their programs, the intended effect is happening.
Right.
And whether we like it or not, whether we agree with the intent, I think we can say that this is probably, if this is the intent, it's going to work. And if it's not the intent, then man, this is an unintended consequence of a minor.
Right.
And so that's why I would have liked to have some more clarity to all of this. Things that I appreciate about this change, because you have to try and look for positives in this stuff, is at least it's laid out there now. Because as Alan said, the judging has been very different from region to region. And I think a lot of people have been wondering how, in some regions, I know for a fact that if you mention the V word, your stuff is in trouble. While in other regions, heck, 1114 got into the Hall of Fame, and one big chunk of our video was about Vex, At the same time, I'll just tell the story to the whole world now because it's been 6 years. What's going to happen? We won at GTR East that year. Our video played and it mentioned Vex and it had this whole thing about Vex. We got a call after the event from someone associated with First, and they said, if you want to win a championship, you need to take Vex out of your video because it will not be played at championship. So we did. We made a new version of our video and we submitted it. And someone at First actually decided to play our old version of the video because they thought, hey, this is the right thing to do. So, it's a lot of craziness and a lot of this stuff. But I feel for these teams, and Garrison, you were on Appreciate in high school, and so you guys have been on the cusp of the Hall of Fame for a long while. You know what it's like when you're on the cusp. You're trying to do. It's just like when you're on the cusp of winning the world championship. You're going to do every single crazy thing, like running your mini bot motors and distilled water and nonsense like that, or like measuring the pile of the carpet and seeing if it's different going backwards and forwards. The top chairman's teams are doing the same things. So when you change the wording of this award, they're going to parse it exactly, and yeah, it's going to affect their outreach programs.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not that these teams have kind of already been doing this a lot at the top level. Like, I know of a lot of teams, I Appreciate included, that, they have huge FTC and FLL programs because of this type of, sentiment in the Chairman's Award. It's explicitly the Chairman's Award. I mean, there's no dancing around it. Like, one of the reasons they do FTC and FLL so heavily, even though that might not be the best way for them to spread their mission as Appreciate. I think personally, and I can say this, I think Vex is a more affordable, more sustainable option for a lot of teams. I say that as a Vex employee, but it is for a lot of teams the better option, and I want teams to observe them, hand in hand, side by side, and choose what's best, like, for their environment.
Right. And going even further than that, it's not a FTC or Vex or First problem. There's Best and Botball and Mate and dozens of other STEM and programs that you can do to do awesome things. And if you're excited about them, if you're a mentor and you're excited about them, if you're a student and you're excited about it, then that's great. And there's Columbus Space Program is one of my favorite FRC teams. They launch weather balloons and do cool stuff in space, and it's one of the coolest programs. And if they don't get credit for some award and they stop doing that because of it, that would be awful. Like, I just like watching their cool videos.
Well, and the other thing is, it's like we talk about sustainability here and about trying to get programs to be sustained, but like, so if you ask me, like, hey, Karthi, I want you to make the greatest impact as you can on your community with robotics. Guess what? I'm not doing FRC, I'm not doing FTC, but I'm not doing Vex, I'm not doing Vex IQ, I'm not doing any of that stuff. I'm going to go grab some Arduinos or some RPis or some Ozobots or some little things like that and put them in the hands of little kids and run like a library program or a community center program. So like the thought that there are teams who are going to just now spend more money on the same type of program they were already doing, that's like the opposite of sustainability. And like, I don't think that whoever came up with these changes was like that was their goal, but like unintended consequences of these sorts of things. And
can I ask a question, guys? So
yeah,
let's say First comes back and says, well, we're misinterpreting this wrong. What does First have to do to get us to believe that? Do they have to take out the text they put in to make that change or difference?
I don't know how you can justify this without either saying, if you're not saying it was because you wanted to get more First teams and you wanted to get more money, then you're saying somehow we were giving the award to the wrong teams. And I don't know how you can justify that statement, right? If they're saying, no, we just needed to update this because the award was we were giving it out to the wrong teams, we should be giving out to these other teams. That doesn't make any sense to me. The chairman's teams are awesome teams. They all are. I've read thousands of or hundreds of essays, right? They're really cool teams. They're doing really good stuff. I don't see how First can come back and say, we've been giving it wrong, we had to update the criteria.
I mean, I hope they're not saying they've been giving it wrong. That would kind of suck.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So there has to be another motive.
What the hell am I doing with my life? Hey.
Something I do want to point out is we did do a poll yesterday on our Facebook page asking, and unfortunately Facebook polls are a little restrictive on what we can exactly ask because it limits it to like 30 characters, but we did ask people if they essentially wanted to keep the 2019 change or revert back to the 2018 description that we had. Those were the two options we asked in particular, and we had just shy of 500 people voting for that, and it looks like 60% were for the revert back to 2018 and 40% were keep the 2019 change. So there is definitely some divisiveness on how this goes. And there were some comments in chat that kind of lay that out on why.
Here, I can play devil's advocate because I've had this argument given to me by someone else. That, I'll let them make it publicly if they want, but this is a fairly prominent person in the First community said, well, this is the first robotics competition. Why would we be rewarding teams who are helping support a actually hurting? Sorry, I think I cut out there, but the argument that was made to me was, this is the first robotics competition. Why would we Why would we reward teams who are supporting our competitors and putting money in the pockets of a company that is competing against us? That's the exact. I don't believe that for a second.
I know. I understand.
But like, that is the exact wording that I said. I mean, when 11-14 was winning chairman's award after chairman's award after chairman's award in Ontario, someone said to me, "It's like, I don't think that's right because you are actively keeping FTC out of Ontario because you've grown VEX so much." There's people out there like that.
And like that exact argument is why my problem with this change is not the change to the award and who gets the trophy. It's the values that FIRST is representing. Because if you're going to be the same program who, since 2003 when I joined, has been instilling in students and instilling in myself that, right, fierce competition and mutual gain are not exclusive. That is on the definition of gracious professionalism on their website, right? Like they should be wanting to have the best possible competition so they can make their own programs better, right? Like it's the thing I've never got about FIRST, right? Why aren't the FRC GDC, why aren't they reading the VEX Q&A and the VEX game rules all the time and going to VEX Worlds to see how you can make a better robot competition, right? Like I've told them this, right? If I, like all of the people who run VEX for the most part have competed in FRC. They've done this. They're able to take the good parts and make it better. FIRST should be doing the same thing, right? Let's get every competition to be as awesome as it can be.
Well, I mean, that's what it should be about. I think, I don't know, like I guess the whole thing is, this is frustrating because it's like, so like, let's, all three of us have been involved with chairman submissions, but let's not kid ourselves here. There are plenty of people within the FIRST community, especially in FRC, especially from the top teams, who think the chairman's award is a bunch of BS. They think the award is a joke. They refer to it as a pyramid scheme, and they make fun of teams who spend time on the chairman's award. Garrison's putting his hand up. Are you one of them? I don't know.
I don't like the award anymore.
Forget about anymore. Like, just forget about these changes. Like, because that's what I'm getting.
I'm going back. I'm going back
Yeah.
to as soon as they got rid of feedback. Once they got rid of judges' feedback for this, I hated it.
But like, and others will say that the award just it rewards the teams that lie the best. It rewards the teams that exaggerate the most. And they just think that it's this BS arms race about people making up stats about like how many pieces of stationery they've like donated to foreign countries and how many kids have gone on exchange and stuff, and like, or like how many like parades you've been in. So like the award already has a PR hit. This is only making things worse.
You can stick your name on.
Yes.
So okay, I'm gonna get a little mad for a second. Hold on, God, it's barking. But
don't get mad at the dog, Garrison.
So okay, let's get real. But this is like Karthik. Going back to Karthik's argument, or I guess not Karthik's argument. It was the argument Karthik heard from a.
Yeah, please don't put that on me. Jeez.
I'm sorry. The argument Karthik reiterated. It sounds like a cult. Right? Of FIRST going like, hey, you like, we know there's other stuff out there, but like our stuff is better and you need to do our stuff. And if you do somebody else's stuff, like we're not going to give you any credit for it. And then, some of the other stuff they've done, Alan says some of this is looking like a pyramid scheme. It has a lot of the same characteristics.
I mean, at some point, you're putting FIRST before the mission, and that's the problem, right? Like, if FIRST went away, I would still be trying to figure out how to get students to do cool stuff with STEM. I don't care if FRC and FIRST exists. I'm happy they introduced me to it, but it could go away.
But I guess why this is disheartening for me so much is that I really do believe in the mission of FIRST, and I've dedicated more than half my life to it. And, like, I know a lot of people will say stuff like that, but like I chose a career in educational robotics, foregoing many other lucrative options because I believed in this stuff. And like the amount of time I put into FIRST and into specifically the Chairman's Award on 11-14 and the programs that we established was because I really wanted to get more people. Like, yeah, we were absolutely trying to grow FIRST at first because it's like I wanted more kids to have the same experience that I did. And then we found other ways to grow with VEX and that sort of stuff. But like, I just totally, it was something that I believed in. And I always took offense when people would slam on the award, and then I didn't want to be that disenchanted by it. But like now it's just kind of like, it's hard to be a defender of this award at this point, you know, and like it's hard to be a defender of first at this point. And like I know, like I hate when we talk about things in monoliths. Like I hate how people will refer to like millennials as sort of one big block. You know, like there's different people. Like first is not one. First is there's no such thing as first. To be completely honest, first headquarters does exist, but first is a community of people with disparate views and opinions, and that's what kind of makes it so great and all. But at the same time, when the message from the top is shifting away from what many of us believe the true mission to be, it's disenchanting. And like I'm not going to say it's going to affect my involvement or whatever, because like if Einstein 2012 didn't make me quit, then like what really is? But like I don't know, man. It's just it's kind of a bummer. But like hopefully we're reading into this wrong. I don't know. I just don't.
I mean, I would love to be wrong on this. Like I will be the first to admit it if I'm wrong, and they can take it all back and it becomes great. But for right now, in my mind, engineering inspiration is the most important word first, not the chairman's award. Like if that's the way they're going to judge it, I don't see how I can take it that way.
Yeah. I want to. So Dan Mance actually commented in chat.
Whoa!
And,
celebrity sighting. Celebrity sighting.
So for those. Dan Mance. Thank you, Dan, for tuning in. First of all, and for those of you that don't know, Dan is in charge of the RECF Foundation, which is Vex's nonprofit. They run all of the Vex tournaments.
Dan
around
Mance
the world.
is the Don Bosey of Vex, essentially.
Yeah, and he was talking about the feedback form for being a chairman's judge. He has judged chairmans before, and the old feedback form was really, really long. You wrote up a ton of feedback. And then it basically went in the trash for 80% of teams, and it wasn't really looked at. And now the new feedback form is much simpler. So for judges and volunteers, it was a win. Like I'm not gonna like claim that it wasn't, but for teams and being on a team during that like process of feedback going away, that was extremely frustrating. Especially a team that, you know, being on Appreciate was trying to win the World Chairman's Award, and they still are.
I mean, we could talk about the feedback issue at length.
Thank you to all of our co-executive producers, keeping fun loud, live, and independent. Pledge your support at patreon.com/first updates now.